All right, thanks so much, Paula. Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Rowe, and I'm the Director of Tools for Life, Georgia's AT program. We are so excited to offer this presentation on read and write. We've got Amy Shifley here, and I'll let Amy take it away and introduce herself.
Perfect. Welcome. I'm excited to present to you all today a tool that I have loved since it has come out. And so my name is Amy Shifley. I am an independent assistive technology consultant, and I work with Georgia Tools for Life. I have been in the field of assistive technology, worked in it for over 18 years. I've seen its successes amongst students of all age levels. I do provide contract services. I'm glad Jennifer switched to the next slide. Jennifer, I think there you go. I do provide contract services to Georgia Tools for Life for assistive technology. So if we can flip to the next slide. Okay, I just want to tell you, hopefully you guys have access to this PowerPoint. I put a lot of information in the PowerPoint. I'm hoping to get to everything, but if I don't, you can refer back to it, especially tips and tricks for different features I am going to show you today. So I just wanted to say that because I do only have 30 minutes. Today, we are going to work through various tools within the Read and Write toolbar to support literacy across instructional settings. We will discuss the tool's purpose and its application for students with disabilities. And I will share tips and useful resources for support and training as well. Next slide. The Georgia Department of Education and the Center for Inclusive Design and Innovation have a AT partnership where they provide assistive technology services and accessible educational materials. Next slide. Okay. I'm going to go over this slide and then I'm going to share my screen in a moment. So what is Read and Write and how can my students access it? So Read and Write is a tool to support literacy skills such as reading, writing, reading comprehension, also helps with executive functioning deficits as well. And it is a tool that teachers can get for free, and I will show you through the Everway website. And when you sign up for free, you get access to all the premium features of the toolbar as a teacher. The link to that is embedded in this PowerPoint, as you see on the screen. If you have questions about student access, I am going to direct you to check with your special education director on how you can get that for your students. So I am going to pop over Jennifer. Actually, you know what, for time purposes, can you go to the next slide?
Sure. And
then I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So I will show you what it looks like to get the free teacher resources. But the other thing I wanted to show you was I put in here the web page to get resources for training. You guys, there's so much on this website that I'll show you. There's how-to videos, how-to articles. If you are a teacher or a therapist or assistive technology specialist and you are going to redeliver this content, there's Train the Trainer materials as well. So if you walk away with anything, know that there is a place for you to go to get answers to questions that you have. So I am going to show, if you cannot see my Everway screen, I'm on the Everway website, let me know. But on my screen, the link that we put in the PowerPoint will link over to this Everway website. And you will have to scroll to the bottom of this web page, but this is where you can go to get free, the free access to Read and Write if you are a teacher. So that is the one place I wanted to show you. And now I'm going to switch over to, I have my toolbar up. This is says the Text Help Academy, but this is the Read and Write for Education Academy, and that is linked in. If you scroll down, you will see a plethora of resources that you all can use and access for training and further training. And if you get stuck, there's different tips in here. So I wanted to make sure you knew that was there. I'm going to pop open the toolbar in a second, and I want to show you one of the biggest things that will help your kids customize the tools is the settings menu. And so I'm going to offer tips throughout the presentation, and it will always lead you back to the settings menu, and I will show you, but it's here on the screen for you to see. It's 3 dots on the right-hand side of the toolbar. What I'm going to do is tell you the function of the tool and how it can assist students, and then I'm going to go back and show it to you and share the tips as I'm presenting. So this is a text-to-speech tool, and what this tool does is it reads text aloud that you may find in Google Docs, Word docs, websites, and so much more. While it reads the text aloud, the tool will visually track what is being read at the sentence and word level. You also have access to another tool that's on the toolbar that does the same thing, and I'll show you that when we go back, called the Hover Speech tool. It does the same thing as the text-to-speech tool that you will see. So how does this assist your students? So this will assist by helping those students that have decoding deficits, that are not reading on grade level, and maybe they need to access some grade level content. It will help those kids be able to access electronic material for the class setting. It also assists with attention and focus because it provides that auditory feedback when it's reading the text on the screen, and it's multisensory. It highlights and so really helps you focus on what is being read aloud. I use it personally for the next item, and it assists students with editing written work by allowing them to listen for errors. So when I am writing things that are lengthy, I will pop open the text-to-speech tool and have my work read back to me to help me pick up on errors that I don't normally pick up if I'm just reading independently. Are popped open, and I am on a web page. This is Georgia Studies content. So it's super easy to use the tool. If you have content on the screen and you can highlight it, I'm highlighting it and I'm pushing play.
If you were sending an email to a student in another country, how would you describe Georgia's location? There are many ways it can be done. If you have ever given direct.
Okay, so you see it highlights as it reads the text aloud. You can go in and change the settings for this, and this is related to the tips I put in the PowerPoint. If you go under the speech settings, you can change to a plethora of different voices. Let the students choose the voice that works best for them. What might be great for you may not work best for the student. They can change the reading speed as well. You may have some kids that process information at a little bit of a slower rate, and you may need to slow down the speed on the toolbar, and vice versa. You may have students that process language at a very high rate and may need the text sped up. You can also have access to continuous read, and that allows you to, on the website, it will keep reading until you push pause or stop. That's all I'm going to show you on this one. I mentioned on the toolbar on the left-hand side, the hover speech tool. If I click on this, this is a great tool. The kids can click, the students can click on it, and they can come down to their text.
If you were sending an email to a student in another country, how would you describe?
And they just hover over the text. So some of your students may have poor fine motor skills and have trouble controlling the mouse. The hover speech comes into play to quickly grab text to be read aloud to the student. I think it's a great alternative to using the play button. Okay, so the next tool is the screenshot reader. It does read text aloud as well, but the difference is it reads inaccessible or image-based text aloud while highlighting what is being read. So you may have students accessing PDFs or images with captions or maps or charts, and I'll show you that they can't highlight with the cursor and push play or use that hover tool. This is where the screenshot reader comes in for that inaccessible text. It is an alternative to getting text read aloud on the screen. Something fun to play with I'm not showing you today is if you have an instructional video and it has text on the screen and you push pause, you can grab the text on the screen with the screenshot reader and you can have it read aloud to a student. So let me show you this tool right here. My audio on. Okay, so let me go to an example. So on my screen, hopefully you all can see, I have a timeline from an online textbook. And if I try to highlight it right now to have it read, it won't read. If I try to use the hover speech, what happens is it starts reading all the underlying text. And so, you know, when students get into middle school, later elementary and into high school, and you start getting into multi-syllabic words, they're going to need assistance with having some of the content-based language read aloud. So this is where the screenshot reader can come into play. So all I do is grab it, and I have to draw a text box around the text.
Georgia colony created to extend from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, so you have to have students that have pretty good control of the mouse. So this may be difficult for kids that are younger, and they may not need to have access to a variety of PDFs and things like that that you see in the upper grades. But you can change the voice settings and the reading speed the same way we did it before for the play button. You can also, I love this feature, copy the text that you have captured and paste it into a separate document as well. I do suggest though, if you have a student that has difficulty controlling their mouse, I suggest working with your technology person to get into the mouse settings of a Chromebook or a PC to see if you can slow some of that down to help them be able to draw that text box around the text to have it read aloud. I'm going to move, actually, let me show you this. I have a worksheet. This is an example of a worksheet. You can highlight on it. For time purposes, I'm not going to push play. It doesn't read correctly because it's a PDF. But if I draw a text box around it, it will, let me do that again. It will read the text aloud. Okay, so this is one of my next favorite tools. You have students that may struggle with language concepts and may need a little more support with comprehension, reading comprehension. I find I use this a lot with my own son who has learning disabilities. And you can quickly look up the definition of words in text, and it provides multiple options for words, and it's multi-sensory. It has built-in text to speech, so they can listen to the word, then listen to the definition. And then the other part that I love is they have a picture dictionary, which pops up a visual support to help with the comprehension of that unfamiliar word. Sometimes students just need a little bit more support when they are when context clues are not enough. And so they can use a combination of the dictionary and the picture dictionary with the context clues, but it's going to have to be taught. And hey, so I'm going to go into a ReadWorks article I have. Let me pop open my toolbar once again. Just click on the extension. And hopefully you can see that on the left-hand side, there is a book. It's a dictionary, and you can pop that open. What I love about this is you can move it anywhere on your screen. And when kids are interacting with text, they can have it open and click on a word. So let's do humans. All I do is double clicked on the word, and it pulls up the definition for the word. You can take it one step. Let me do centuries because I did that the other day. If you push play,
Centuries.
it reads it aloud.
Noun.
It's so great.
100 years. We have not.
Then you can, if they need more support than that, and they say, I still don't understand what the meaning is, you can click this little, looks like mountains with a little sun. It's a picture dictionary. And when you hover over the features, it tells you what it is. So when I click on that, look what I can do. I can move it around on my screen, but that gives me options for what centuries may mean. Now, there is not always a picture dictionary, a picture for every word that you're defining. I think a tip for use of this is you're going to have to instructionally, if there are multiple definitions for a word, a good instructional support is to teach the kids how to determine which definition is the right definition for the word being used in the sentence using their context clues. I think it's super easy to use and can be taught successfully to the students. Okay, the next tool is pretty magical. It's the vocabulary tool. And so it takes the function of the dictionary, takes it one step further. This allows students to create separate documents of different vocabulary words with their definition, and it also provides a visual. The list can be created like in a Google Doc or a Word doc and edited using the literacy tools and read and write. It allows students to be independent with vocabulary activities that may struggle with fine motor or literacy deficits that may impact spelling or reading. If it's done through paper pencil. I love it. It puts everything in one location to be used at a later date. What I'm going to do, I'm randomly highlighting words. I'm just going to click on the word I want highlighted and defined, and I can use any of these highlighter markers at the top of the screen. It doesn't matter what color for the purposes of this. Kids may really enjoy highlighting, but I just want to get a few grabs. Okay, so once I have a few words highlighted, what I do is I come over on the right-hand side to the vocabulary list builder, and I click on it. I leave everything checked right now for the purpose of this presentation, but you can uncheck and only collect certain colors. So when I push OK, gotta give it a second. It's loading. Hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, look what it did. It took the word that I had highlighted, put it the definitions, all the possible definitions, and all the possible picture symbols to go with it. You can edit this document and take things out. Great tool to use with the whole class as well to help them determine which definition is the correct definition for the word America. I think it is easy. It's fun to use. The kids love it, but they have to be patient when they are accessing it because, as you saw, it took a second to load. So now we're going to get into, I have 7 minutes. I can do this. Writing. I really want you to see the writing tools. I am going to go back and show you the play button and how that works with writing. But this is the next piece is the word prediction tool. It's the co-writer word prediction tool. This assists students with spelling and grammar weaknesses by giving them a list of predicted words to choose from for their writing. It compensates for any spelling weaknesses that students may have based on context and spelling errors. It can predict ahead in a student's writing to help assist with word recall. You can predict words on a specific topic. I will show you how to turn on a topic dictionary as well. And it assists students who struggle with fine motor deficits that maybe, or newer keyboarders who are slower to type by reducing the number of keystrokes needed to spell a word. And I will show you how that works. So as you will see right here, I have a document on the screen where I'm going to write about my dog, my Cavapoo. In our house, if we are writing about a preferred topic, it's usually the dog. On the left-hand side of the screen, you will see that there is a word prediction box right here. I'm not going to open it yet. Actually, I'm going to erase this. I'm going to type a sentence, and I want to show you how my text reads.
The Cavap is
I'm trying to write the Cavapoo is a small to medium-sized dog.
a small
But I'll write small dog for the purposes of this.
dog. The Cavap is a small dog.
Okay, so it's set right now to speak after every word, and that was under the speech setting on the toolbar. The purpose of doing that is to provide auditory reinforcement, especially for newer users or kids that need struggle with focus and attention and need reminders as to what they are trying to type. It is speaking after every word. And when I put punctuation at the end of my sentence, it rereads the whole sentence. I love that feature, and I have it turned on to speak after each sentence because it almost forces the students to remember to put punctuation in order to have their entire thought read aloud to them. Okay, so now let's turn on word prediction. So the little thought bubble on the left-hand side of the screen is your word prediction tool. If I click on that, let's see where I have it. Okay,
And
let me see if I can scroll up. I want to make sure you can see it. Okay, as I start typing, the prediction list comes up. So I'm going to show you that. I'm actually going to hide this. You have a dictionary on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. I'm writing about something very particular, Cavapoo. And so I was able to, when I click on this dictionary feature, I was able to find a dictionary because I actually created one, but I can't show you that right now, on Cavapoos. And so when I toggled that on, it gives me more words in my prediction list related to Cavapoos that will populate as I'm typing. And so I'm going to write a sentence. The Cavapoo dogs are friendly with children. So watch as I type. I'm going to try to type it like the, oh, it already did it. Do you see?
Chat Cavapoos.
As I hover above the word, it will read aloud. You can turn that setting off.
Could.
Okay.
Cavapoos.
But I'm going to use Cavapoos, but I don't want to use poos.
Cavapoo.
Cavapoo dogs. Oh, look, it already
Dogs.
predicted ahead. So I have that feature turned on as well where you can predict ahead.
R.
Let's see how I spell friendly. It was pretty good though.
From the.
Oh. Okay. See, I'm spelling friendly. I'm trying to spell it phonetically. It did auto-populate. I don't have to use my cursor. I can just push the number on my keyboard and it puts the word in your screen.
Friendly. Cavapoo dogs are friendly.
Okay. And so that helps students be able to quickly access and get spelling support. I am going to go into, let me go into the settings for word prediction. I think the word prediction settings are probably the settings you will frequent the most with students. If you have younger students, some of the tips are to use less choices on a screen to get them used to using the tool so they're not so overwhelmed with scanning for information. But as kids get older, their vocabulary is richer and they need access to more choices on the screen to give them the words they are trying to use in writing in the prediction list. I had it set to where it followed my cursor as I'm typing. I'm going to unclick that. And I want to show you, I don't know for time purposes if I can go through all of this. I want to show you. So look what happened. My box, my word prediction box is now on the left-hand side of the screen. As students get used to using this tool, they may prefer to have it located on the left-hand side, or they can move it around the screen to wherever they want, so it's not following them. Let's see, Paula. I know I'm about to hit 4. I hit 4 o'clock. I'll keep on going.
Just keep going. We still have about 110 people in. Just keep going.
Okay, guys, I can talk about this all day, but I won't. Let me make sure I hit all my tips for you guys. If word prediction is frustrating for a student, I do just want to suggest really playing with the features, the settings within the word prediction setting box over here. I think it can make a world of a difference for students. Now, you will come across some frustrations sometimes. I'm going to write Cavapoos have separation anxiety. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated. It's not being predicted. I may try a few different ways to spell it. So I am actually going to jump into the next tool, and we'll go back to the PowerPoint in a minute, but I wanted to show you while I'm here. I was trying to write Cavapoos have separation anxiety. Sometimes the word may not be predicted in the prediction list. And so what I suggest is toggling on the talk to type, which is the speech to text tool. And oftentimes I tell students if they're stuck with their word prediction, turn this on really quick and you can get your thought out. So let me go in and show you when I turn it on. Separation anxiety. Okay, I was able to get my thought out. I can pop my word prediction. You don't have to turn it off, but I can pop it back open and continue with my writing. And so you will see that this is probably one of the most frequently used tools I find in the classroom is speech to text, because it's just easy to use, but it's not always conducive to the learning environment. And so when students use this tool, I think it's important to know that I think it could be a great way for them to get their thoughts out. But I also think that in conjunction with intervention, the co-writer tool really can take their writing to the next level.
Disorder.
While they're working on text for class. So the purpose of that talk and type or speech to text tool is to voice dictate and transcribe text with ease. Oftentimes, students with executive functioning weaknesses may demonstrate, and literacy deficits, stronger verbal skills than written skills. And so the talk to type gives students an alternative way to demonstrate their knowledge. It also assists with students with fine motor weaknesses when typing is impacted by fine motor deficits and they need an alternative way to access materials. I showed you my tips on how to toggle it on and off, and it can be used in conjunction with word prediction. If we can go to the next slide. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the screen masking tool. And so, you know, the low-tech reading windows that you may use in the classroom, they have this electronically. And some students may only need this. They don't need the they don't need to hear their text read aloud on the screen. So this allows, it's a floating screen that allows you to tint your screen, and I'll show you this to help with visual tracking, and it reduces visual fatigue when interacting with various text. So let's pop open my read and write. In the middle of the screen, you will see it looks like a computer screen with a line across it or a TV. If you click on that, look what happens. Let me change my colors. Well, look what happens to my screen. I have a blue background with a green reading window. Green probably isn't the best choice to choose for this presentation. Let me show yellow. Okay. So you can scroll down a screen really easily, and it will help students track the text as they're reading it and reduce kind of that visual distraction behind them. You have the ability to go into settings either here on the left-hand side of the screen into this little cogwheel or under the three dots, and you can change the background color, the reading light color, and the height of the reading light as well. Just wanted to show you that. Let me turn that off. Okay, and I've got two more tools. I'm going to show you the highlighting and collect highlighting tool as well. Let me go back and, oh, I can't get off of this screen. Sorry, I'm trying to stop sharing in my I usually have a little window to stop sharing. It went away. Let me push. Jennifer, is there a way you can take control of my screen? Or
Do you want to share your screen or do you want to look at the PowerPoint?
Are you seeing my screen right now, or?
No,
I believe
I
it's
do not
showing
see
the
your
PowerPoint.
screen.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I clicked it. Did you see when I was doing the reading window, you were able to see all of that?
Yes.
Okay. So I am back on the PowerPoint, and we're going to look at highlighting and collecting highlights. So we can go back to those highlighter tools we were using before, and they can be used to gather important information on websites or in Google or Word docs. And what it allows you to do is to gather information using highlights and put everything into one source or one document. And this is great for students that struggle with research and gathering information from multiple sites and putting it in one location. So it helps those students that struggle with executive functioning, but also students that struggle with doing things paper pencil as well, with note taking due to fine motor weaknesses or spelling weaknesses or even decoding weaknesses. They have access to all of these tools. So I'm going to share this. This is a really fun tool. I don't think it's used enough, to be honest, in the classroom. So say I have to collect facts on this article, Stargazing Across Time. So I am just picking random things, you guys. I can click this fact. I think it's very important to use in my research. Once again, for the purposes of this presentation, it doesn't matter what color I'm using. Okay, let me find a few more facts. I'll do another yellow. Okay, so I have 3 facts. I then want to take this or extract this information and put it into a new document. Next to the broom where you can erase all of these colors, you have collect highlights. And when I click on that, I can choose to sort my highlights by color or position. I'm going to do it by color, and I'm going to collect, I'm leaving them all checked, but I didn't have a purple or a green. And I'm going to push OK and watch what it does. I always tell the kids, students, hands off the keyboard. It takes the information that we highlighted and it puts it in a new Google Doc. And then you can use your read and write tool to have it read to you again. They can expand on thoughts and write sentences with it. I think this is a great tool not only for research, but for collecting, say you're working on finding main idea and supporting details. You can assign different colors to topic sentences, different colors to supporting details, and work through exemplar text and extract some of that information and organize it for the students. You can use it to identify parts of speech or transition words used in writing. There's so many endless ways you can use this tool. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to push Control A and highlight everything on my keyboard. And then if I click on the broom, it removes all of my highlights. You can also just refresh your screen if that's easier. The last tool I do want to get into is called the Rewordify tool. I'm going to stay here and then I can go back to the PowerPoint, but on the Rewordify tool, this allows you to simplify text on the web by replacing higher level language with simpler language. Okay, can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So for this, okay, the Rewordify tool. So you give students oftentimes have to interact with text when they get into middle school and high school that is just written at such a high level of comprehension, and some of our students just aren't there. And so when text complexity is above their level of comprehension, we can use this tool to replace higher level vocabulary with synonyms that can help in comprehension. So this tool is on the right-hand side of the screen, and it's the Rewordify tool. When I click on it, what it does is I have the settings set to where it highlights the words it changed in purple. You can also have it italicized as well. I like the purple. I think it draws attention to the text, and it can, if a student wants to go back, so let's see, and see what word the text replaced. If I click on the purple, it changed eons to very long periods of time. And let's look at groups. It changed groups from constellations. So what it does is it's going to help our students be able to access and interact with some more grade level material and give them the confidence they need to be able to understand what they are reading. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. You can go into the settings and you can change text complexity under Rewordify. So it's at the maximum amount right now, text complexity of how much it breaks down the text into simpler terms. But I think it is a great tool to play with and to support your students with language comprehension. I think I'm going to stop sharing. And I should be back on the PowerPoint. And that is the PowerPoint slide for Rewordify, for the Rewordify tool within Read and Write. And I think that's the last feature that I was going to show you today. So let me turn my camera back on. If you guys have any questions about this, it's a lot of information in a short period of time. I hope the PowerPoint is a resource for you all. Any further info, you can contact Georgia Tools for Life at the various locations on the screen. I am just going to tell you, I love this tool. I am going to say from a personal standpoint, it has been life-changing for my own son, and it's allowing him to be independent with his schoolwork and be able to work through the writing and reading tasks that are assigned every day. So I hope you love it as much as I do. I appreciate everyone for sticking around.